Welcome back. I hope you're having a meaningful learning experience so far. I want to start by sharing some additional thoughts about what we explored in the first unit and then introduce Unit 2. The rabbis who shaped Jewish tradition as we know it today also grappled on a daily basis with their own mortality. This grappling, in turn, shaped the way they thought about God, the soul, and what happens after death. If you open a Siddur, a prayer book, you will find prayers and psalms asking God for protection from illness and death, and describing God as Mechaye Meitim, having the power to make the dead live again. God, the soul, what happens after death, these are elusive concepts, mysteries that none of us will ever fully know or understand. And yet, when we think about them in the context of our mortality, the way Jewish tradition thinks about them makes more sense and offers a greater sense of purpose and direction while we are alive. I'll show you what I mean. Let's focus on the soul for a moment. The Torah teaches that when God created the human being, God formed the body from earth and breathed the breath of life into his nostrils. Vayitzar Hashem Elokim et ha'adam afar min ha'adama vayipach be'apav nishmat chayim vayihi ha'adam lenefesh chaya. Hashem Elokim formed the human from the soil's dust and blew into his nostrils the breath of life, and the human became a living being. This nishmat chayim, this breath, is the human's neshama, the soul that God breathed into them. When a person dies, they no longer have breath. One might then think that this person is simply no more, and that the body without its soul has no value. And yet our rabbis imagine that when a person breathes their final breath and dies, their soul continues to hover nearby. Some say the neshama is confused. She sees the body that she used to live in, but it looks different, and she's unsure where she belongs. Ultimately, the body, made of earth, is meant to return to the earth. And this nishmat chayim, this animating breath, the sacred and immortal part of a person that came from God, continues to live on, amongst other souls and with God's self. Please excuse the pun, but I find this understanding of the soul utterly breathtaking. Because of the way our tradition imagines the relationship between the body and the soul, it becomes imperative that we take exquisite care of the deceased. From the moment someone dies and becomes a mate, they are never to be left alone. Someone living, a shomer, a guard, sits with the mate reciting prayers, often psalms, to comfort the soul and help her transition to a new kind of existence. And when the body of the mate is prepared for burial by the Hevra Kaddisha, every act they perform is meant to affirm the innate dignity of the person and to show them love. These core values, kavod, honor, and chesed, loving kindness, are expressed in the most profound ways through this end-of-life care. Rav Yitz Greenberg, beloved teacher at Hadar, shares a beautiful reflection about how this care affirms the value of human life. He says, "Since death is the inescapable fate of all humans, does this make a mockery out of life altogether? Does this destiny make love a temporary illusion, all too soon to be taken away? Does mortality turn the deep bond of attachment into a permanent generator of aching loss, into a torment, a source of tears that will only end with one's own death? And what about the body that is left behind when life ends? Since it is robbed of its value, should one get rid of this now useless object? Should one flee from the dead body, which incarnates the loss, the end of all hopes, plans, emotions, dignities?" The Jewish answer is, love is stronger than death, as it says in Song of Songs. When death strikes, one discovers that love does not end with the termination of life. Out of this deep affection, the body, remaining, is to be treated with loving respect. Whereas the first unit was focused on why we care for the dead as we do, this next unit focuses more on the what of Kavod Hamet. That is, we will look at the actual work of the Hevra Kaddisha. Session 4 explores the history and countercultural nature of the Hevra Kaddisha, this sacred band of volunteers who care for the deceased. Session 5 examines the sources related to the practice of shmirah, guarding or accompanying the mate from the time of death until burial. And Session 6 will pick apart some of the halachic or legal questions that arise when the Hevra is called to serve. Enjoy your learning.